In previous videos, one of the things I mentioned was that I started figureoutyourlife.com to really explain the things that are maybe the most important to you as a human being. So you can really figure out what you want for your life. So you can find your direction, your path, your way. And I feel like we'd all be happier that way. And I feel like the most important thing I could probably tell you is something that's really controversial and really maybe something that people don't want to admit. For the most part, we do a pretty good job of making decisions that are rational, well thought out, well-meaning, well-intentioned. But there are times when we do things that aren't that way, when things are irrational, when things aren't well-balanced. And even sometimes there's a trick that goes on inside of us where we think we're doing the right thing when in reality we're doing something that's completely irrational. And it's almost impossible to see this when it's happening. You almost always see it after the fact. So it's like the event occurs and the lesson comes later, and so much in life, that's how things are. So what I wanted to let you know is if you look at your life and think about the things that you've done in the course of your life, the big decisions, you'll see a lot of times that some of those decisions were based partially on really weighing things out and trying to decide what made the most sense, what was the most logical. But on the other side, there's a whole host of influences inside our heads that are irrational, that aren't based on doing what the ideal thing is. And this battle goes on for everyone, and it's constant. It is built into us as human beings, and it blinds us in many ways to things that are more useful and more helpful in our lives. There's no getting rid of it, but there's understanding it, there's seeing it, there's hitting it head on, and possibly building up some strength and some training around the idea that if we catch ourselves doing things that are rationalizations or coming up with reasons that maybe aren't the best reasons to do something, then we can use that to put the brakes on, to sit back, take a breath, and look at the decision we're trying to make. Look at the action we're thinking about making and think, am I doing this rationally, or am I doing this based on some emotion that's stirring inside me, or based on some feeling that maybe isn't really based on the most thoughtful, well-balanced approach? Let me use an example. A car. Everybody's gone through a thing where they've looked at a car, they thought about getting a car, and it's really, really easy to justify getting the nicer car or the newer car. It's very easy to come up with rationalizations, but when it comes down to it, a car is a depreciating asset. It is. The moment you buy it, every day after that it'll be worth less. And that's just what it is. So it's a horrible investment. It's a purchase that we do for the functional ability to get from point A to point B, but rarely do people drive vehicles that are just functional. We drive vehicles with beautiful leather seats, beautiful stereo systems, creature comforts that are not necessary, but they're chosen. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that. I've done it myself. In fact, in my early 20s, I got 4 car loans in a row over 4 years, like a jackass, buying things I shouldn't have bought. And I paid a price for it. And I'm sure I'll do things like this again. But the point is, every single moment of every single day, the choices we make, the choices of eating out versus eating in, the choices of spending money on this thing or spending money on that thing, the choice of treating someone a certain way, the choice of voting a certain way. So often it's not based on us sitting down with a piece of paper and figuring out the pros and cons of going either way. So often it's based on some feeling or some emotion or something irrational in us that isn't weighing out all the facts. And I don't want to poo-poo irrationality, because irrationality is also a beautiful thing. Love is technically irrational. It's based on emotions, it's based on connection, and it's one of the most beautiful parts of being a human. We are not robots that walk around and just do absolutely the thing that makes the most sense at the time. Because really, if we wanted to be the most self-preserving, we would be incredibly selfish. And what's amazing is the majority of the world isn't incredibly selfish. The majority of the world everybody has a handful of people they really, really care about, or maybe it's more than a handful. And we do things for other people at our own expense because of irrationality. So irrationality is beautiful, love is beautiful, connection is beautiful. I think those are the things that make us feel the most alive. But what I want to warn you about, and what I hope I can open your eyes to some, is the idea that at any given moment, you could be lying to yourself and not even know it. And a lot of times you can't see that until after the fact. But I want you to be aware of the fact that inside of you, inside of every single human being, myself included, and I give you a list of stupidity in my life, but every one of us has the ability to make great level-headed decisions, and we can make all kinds of decisions that are irrational and based on rationalizations and emotions and things that really aren't necessarily weighing out the pros and cons for the best things for our lives. And I want to let you know that when we have irrational behavior, irrational thoughts, irrational decisions that wind up hurting us, it's great if you can see those things and really, after the fact, catch yourself to see if, hey, maybe that's something I can slow down on next time. Bigger decisions slow down, because people do make rash decisions sometimes that they wish later they hadn't. So please keep that in mind as life goes on. I know it's not the most fun thing to think about, the fact that we have kind of these two parts of us that are fighting all the time, but the rational and irrational parts of us battle all the time. You'll see it in elections, you'll see it in the choice of millions of things that we do on a daily basis. So I hope you're doing good. Feel free to come back here for more posts and more videos, and thank you very much for watching.